You're live. I'm alive. Okay. Greetings out there, homesteaders. This is Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres, and this is going to be week 2 of our YouTube live chat. It's whatever, so we're going to do it. And the way we'll work is Jill is sitting right here. So if you have questions for her, she'll swing around and get in the picture. But she's going to sit right here, and she will read the questions to me. She's not going to write them down. She's just going to read them. We weren't aware that you would be able to hear her reading those questions, writing them down, and then I was trying to read her chicken scratch, and it wasn't going so good. So last week, for a lot of questions we missed, and I want to start with that one. But I would like to start off by saying something to you about a conversation that I had today with my niece. She owns a home in Massachusetts, and she would like to do a little bit of homesteading too. And she said that she was a little, felt like we were talking about what she thought, and I great for somebody that has not done any homesteading at all and wants to start, because this is a place where you can ask the most rudimentary question, and also if you've been in it for several years and you've run into a stone wall, I think we can help you with that too. Or if not, we can maybe suggest a little bit of where to find these things. So let's start off with the first question, and it's left over from last week, and this was from Joe Brown. He is a guy in Maine, and he's farming, and things are going wicked good. So he's got a question. Take that question, please. Oh, you don't have it?
I was looking for it. Forestry leavings for your pigs.
For pigs or bedding?
Pigs.
Okay. Alongside the road, and they're clearing power lines. And if you stop and talk, a lot of times they have to travel great distances to dump all the chipped limb, and tell them that I've got a great driveway, you can pull right in, chips, all kinds of different trees. And that stuff we use these in the garden, in between. I use it for bedding in the chickens, believe it or not. And they go through it, and they're pulling things out that, little pieces of bark, green bark, stuff like that. It's a really good source of minerals. All right. Why is that? The reason is like, let's say you have an oak tree. It may be 30 feet high, but it's got roots that go 30 feet down. And there are minerals that are deep down in the soil that you just don't think about, like boar chips. And let's say you use them for walkways in your garden. By the next year, generally they're gone. And all the nutrient that was in chips in your soil. Too much of a good thing is probably never good, probably never, but you have to be a little careful, because it takes nitrogen to break them down. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to spread raw manure in your walkway and then cover it with wood chips, and all that biological action would begin right there. And I mean, they're good for weed suppression. I use them for bedding for my pigs. The guys, and I said, I got a great place. And the guy said to me, let us know when you don't want any more chips. And I had a mountain of chips. Honestly, I was using my tractor to push it up, and I thought, but as by the end of winter, I was out of chips. I used them everywhere. I did. And we don't find any chips anymore. So I'd love to get them back. Hope that answers. Are there any other questions that have come in?
Not right at the moment.
Not right at the moment.
You have Dave and Amanda here, M. Finn, and Fun on the Homestead.
Okay, fun on the home. And Dave and Amanda, how you doing? M. Finn, that's new. Haven't seen you. Welcome. Let us know where you're from. And I am ready for chatting. I'm ready for some questions. Actually, 7 people on the chat right now. Okay. I'm very, very rarely at a loss for words. All right. Well, I could talk about a famous animal to this whole homesteading thing. And this is where it began for me, is we got chickens, and we didn't get them because we needed eggs. We could get eggs from the store, but we got them because we thought we'd just have some chickens run around, we could watch them and all that stuff. Nowadays, people are doing that who live in town, and the townships are making a way for people to do that. Chickens, you can get your eggs from them for sure. You know that eggs at the store are quite cheap. So if you ideas of, well, my eggs will be better and I can sell them for $5 a dozen, that's about what you're going to need to cover your feed costs for them, because they're only giving you one egg a day. But the nice part of that is where their nutrient is coming from. It's not like the store eggs. You have no idea where their feed is coming from. A great animal as far as they will take care of all your garbage from the house, every bit of it. I don't know. I can't think of anything that they won't eventually eat. Like even banana peels. Eventually, they eat them. They are omnivores, so if you have any scrap meats, they'll take care of those too. That gross you out if let's say you are a deer hunter and you butcher your own deer, which I think you should do that, and you have that carcass left over and you're not going to use the bones for anything. Some people do, some people don't. You can always put that carcass in there with the chickens and they'll pick it clean. And then you could give the bones to your dogs, or you could do something with them. You could break them up and put them in your garden, so it'd be a good source of carbon or calcium. Is that me? I hear my voice over there. Okay.
It's keeping up. Yeah.
Okay. And then the other type of chicken that you can do very easily in town is meat chickens, right? Generally, if you go to the hatchery, you're going to get what's called a white mountain vantress, or a Cornish cross, right? And they're how much are they now for a chick?
I think, were they $2 at
Oh, really?
Tractor Supply, or $1.50? $1 a bird there.
Okay, $2 for a chick. They used to be 80 cents. We used to get them really cheap. And you can get them from Tractor Supply or whatever like that. Usually you got to put them in a brooder, and that's just a warm place that's secure. They need it to be about 105 degrees, and then you'll keep them in there for a few days, and then you back it down to 100 degrees, and then you back it down to, and that whole process should take you about a week and a half. I would them when it's warm out, because they only go for about 8 to 10 weeks anyway, and then it's time to harvest them. And then you're going to get a really nice chicken. Or you can do what we do, is we have chicken tractors, and a chicken tractor is sort of like a frame. Ours are 2 feet high, and they have a little peaked roof on them that's just made out of canvas, and they have no floor in them. Ours are 10 feet wide, 12 feet long, so 120 square feet. We can put 75 in there. and that seems to be a really good number. And we can move that chicken tractor every day, fresh grass to eat. And let's say you have a lawn that you're taking care of in your backyard. You might as well turn the clover and the pieces of grass in there into really nice chicken for you for the table, and they'll do a really nice job. You do have to give them feed as well. You can get vegetarian feed if you want to. You can get it just this comes from the um, co-op or grain company, whatever you're going to use to get your feed, or from like Tractor Supply. They definitely have it. Here's a little tip though with Tractor Supply. A lot of times they get 2 shipments of chickens in, and they get all the really nice layers, and they get ducks and turkeys, and then they have a whole bunch of these Cornish crosses. And if they stay there too long, then they just want to move them along. They want them out of there because they start getting big. So cards right, you can go in there and say, "What? How much are these chickens now?" And sometimes you can get them at a very reduced rate, or sometimes for nothing. It's never worked out that way for me, but don't game it like I could. And then they're already brooded at the store, so they've used their electricity and their time and all that stuff. They've had to deal with the ones that die. They go in the morning, they fish all the dead ones out. So you won't. And then you can bring them home if you have your chicken tractor already. You just slide them right in there, and in about 10 weeks, you've got a whole bunch of nice chickens for your table. And then what you need to do is you'll need to learn to process those chickens or harvest them, and how to get them in some sort of container that you can either freeze them or can them, or what else could we do with chickens? Freeze, can. I guess that's
Smoke
it.
them.
Well, we can
Sometimes
smoke them,
brine
but then you
them
need
and
to
then smoke them and then you freeze them.
freeze them too.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's nice to be able to freeze them in the parts that you use. So we have a lot of cut up chicken, and we have boneless, skinless breast because it's convenient.
No. So
Legs and thighs because it's easier.
Not only should you know how to process them and get it from a live chicken to a chicken up into the parts that you prefer, like there's a 9 cut and things like that. No, all these things are and part of the function of the Homesteaders Guild. So that's a forum where we have time to go into a specific function of homesteading that you want to have in your tool. All right. Do we have any questions yet, Mom?
No.
Okay.
Maybe you could talk a little bit about cold weather care for animals.
Okay. To hit the thumbs up. So if we can get people to do that, we got 11 people watching and 9 thumbs up. So there's 2 of you that need to hit that thumbs up. Need you to do that right now. 9, 10, 11. Okay. All right. I can talk a little bit about cold weather and your homesteading because we've had a lot of that week or so.
I have one here from D Mac.
Okay, I saw that one.
Yeah. You ever heard of Gabe Brown farming methods? If so, what do you think?
No, I'm Gabe Brown. So I don't know what to tell you what I think. Gabe Brown.
I'll know it. We can look it up later.
Okay.
Report back.
I guess if it's something that you think we should look at, then maybe we will. All right. I was talking about cold weather. Every year we seem to have a stretch of time where it's just extremely cold. That's one of those things that when it happens, if you don't know it's coming and it hits you, you can have fatalities for sure with your livestock. If you are doing greenhousing in the wintertime, you can have problems there too, because it can get cold enough that it can kill what's in your greenhouse. And some people will, when they see it coming, they'll fire up a wood stove in their greenhouse just to keep it a little chill off, that total chill off during the night. Um, as far as livestock goes, I have calves that I get from another farm. They're Holsteins, and Holstein calves aren't worth very much right now. So if they're in any way something that the farm that we get them from wants to cull them out, we get them. Like if they're not healthy, we get them, and then we're able to bring them to our place and put them in an environment that's a little bit more spread out, and then doctor them more specifically. If you have 50 calves that you're taking care of, it's kind of hard to really hone in on the needs of one or two or three or four. But with the really cold weather that was coming, I had to do things to make their life a little bit better. So what do? I bed them at night. I put in a lot of fresh straw. And there's been some questions on that, on what to use for bedding. Let's see. What's their names? Anyway, they just had baby pigs. The Trombleys. I was talking with him on texting, and he says, "Oh, they have plenty of hay." And then he sent me pictures, and sure enough, he was bedding them with hay, and it was going to be an extremely cold night. And I said to him, and I think this was pretty. It could have been devastating, because he just had brand new baby pigs, and they're kind of wet when they come out. And yeah, he's still out to be 0 degrees. And hay is grass that's been dried, cut and conditioned and dried and then baled. Straw, the stems and leaves from grain crops like oats and barley and wheat, and, the grain crops. When you see a bale of straw, a bale of hay is usually green or light brown, right? But straw is a tremendous insulator for young animals. It's a lot better than hay, a lot better than hay. So I did that. I bedded these calves. I made sure that before I went in, they got a really long drink of warm water. So they're in that water, it's going right into their body, and they can hang on to it for a longer period of time. The way their system works is their system will turn the thermostat up heat out of that big compost pile that they got running in their belly. There's a lot of heat there. So we can have the vicious coldest days, and when my cows come in to get milked and I put my hands on them, and their feet are warm, so their thermostat just comes on. And once we get through that cold weather, it seems like we're good to go. If we get through without any broken equipment, frozen pipes, or sick animals, then I figure that we've done our job. As far as equipment goes, when it's hot, when it's really cold, if I know it's coming, like this last time, I knew it was going to be around 15 below, I make the decision to get all my tractor work done so that on the day that it's going to be vicious cold like that, I don't have to start the tractor up. Because when it is very, very cold like that, that's when things are likely to not just start up, and you have a tendency to maybe crank it for a little bit longer than you would. And that's when things break, because all your fluids are congealed, and It's just better when it's really cold like that if you don't have to start equipment. So let's say you have to feed cows. Bring your hay over close to them and then put it in by hand if you can. Or like we feed pigs, I bring the feed trailer over to where they are and just leave it there. And then we can feed it by hand. Um, made sure I have all my firewood up and I was good to go. Made it through, breezed through. Probably stayed up a little later at night than I normally would have, just so I could make sure that the wind didn't come up during the night. Because if it did, like with the calves especially, they're in a hut, and these things are called about 8 feet long, and they have a polycarbonate deal on them. They're like a Quonset. They're movable. So if I know that the wind's going to come up and it's going to come out of the north, which is a very cold wind, then I would change the hut to keep the wind off the animals. So like the other night when it got really cold, I waited up until about midnight and if the wind had picked up. So then I'm looking at from midnight until 5 in the morning. If the wind did come up, the most that they're going to be in the direct wind. If it came up minute, I went back in the house till 5 o'clock in the morning would be 5 hours. They would make it, right? If it was going to be from 8 o'clock, I go to bed at 8 o'clock, which I don't, but let's say I did, and then I didn't get up until 5 in the morning, and I don't get up at 5 in the morning. Then they would be in that direct wind for a lot longer, and you could lose animals. You can lose calves in that. And I made a video. I was farrowing. It was February, and it got down to 29 below with the wind chill. And we farrowed, and I went out there, and we had 6 of the nicest little baby Mangalitsa pigs, and they were all nice, big, plump things. But every one of them was frozen solid, just like a little pigsicle. It was a crying shame, and I made a video of it because those things happen. And could it have been prevented? Absolutely. You got a question?
I do actually.
Just raise your hand.
Okay. We'll do that. One on the Homestead wants to know: do you change feed in the winter?
Do I change feed in the winter months? Well, I do, but it doesn't really have so much to do with the fact that it's the winter per se. Well, I guess it does. Now, the way I do pigs is I have fields that are specifically set aside for pigs, and then I have those fields that are broken into sections, so I can isolate pigs like down one end of this field. I have several of them actually, and I can isolate them, and then I can get in there with my tractor and I can plow it up. Then I can plant things in there. So the things that I like to plant, I like these early spring. I like to do turnips in the early spring. I like to do rye early fall. I like to do daikon radishes or forage radishes. Sometimes that's what they call them. I like to do them in the late spring. And let's see, I also do purple top turnips in the late spring, and they do really well. Now, what happens then is you have like radish that they grow really fast and they got a really tall top on them. And so you'll have a whole field covered with these things, and then you can open the gate and let the pigs in. And the beauty of this is if I was going to grow turnips, let's say to take the farmer's market, let's say people eat turnips, which I don't think they do. But if I was going to, all the ones with worms in them, I couldn't take. All the ones that got really big and then split down, take, because no one would want them. But my pigs, they don't care if it's got a split in it. And if it's got a worm in it, they think it tastes better, probably. And field peas, same thing. These grow really fast and very thick. And I tell you, I've had fields that were so thick, then when we put pigs in them, we couldn't actually see the pigs. Okay, so that's how I'm feeding them in the warm months. And if you were to look at these fields right now, well, they're covered with snow, but just before the snow came down, there wasn't even a blade of grass. The pigs will take everything off of it. They'll totally dig it up. So in that respect, your pigs or what you want is you want your livestock working for you. You don't want them working against you. So there's always questions that come up about grazing pigs. Well, I don't know if that's a good idea. We've tried it and it just really doesn't work. They will always dig it up.
Another question from Amanda and Dave. Do you recommend heats for your pasture poultry, chickens, and turkeys?
Okay, I do, and here's why. Heritage breeds for that is, if you're going to buy turkeys, generally what's available is white turkeys or what they call bronze turkeys. And when you have the feathers off them, because we butcher a lot of turkeys here, when you get the feathers off of them, you can't tell the difference. You can't. The white turkeys are the more industrial turkey, and they are not a heritage breed. Just like a Cornish cross is not a heritage breed of chicken. It's more like the industrial meat. So, what do I recommend? Well, I tell you what, for chickens, and we just got into them last year for the first or second time. And our model has changed. Commercial farmers where we wanted that chicken to go 8 weeks, not 1 day more, because time is money, and money was what we were there for. But model doesn't matter. They're going to get. I would rather they get big on clover that's just growing out there, and if they don't eat it, then I'm going to mow it, and it's going to wind up in the garden. So I would rather use heritage chickens that will do well on forage, right? So forage is anything that they're going to eat that you're not giving them. If they on your lawn and they're eating clover or grass shoots or something like that, that's good. That's really good because they will turn that into good quality chicken, and they're getting all those minerals that is in your compost, that you're composting all those wood chips that Joe Brown talked about. And so you're highly mineralizing those chickens. A heritage breed chicken usually does better on forage than a non-heritage breed. And the heritage breeds of chickens are meat. I guess it would be called a Freedom Ranger. That's the closest thing to a meat chicken in the heritage range that I can think of. And the other chickens, they have dual purpose chickens. If you look in the catalogs, and an egg and then a bunch of chicken legs on the same page. What we've found is they're not good egg layers, and they're not really that good for meat either. So I would go with, if you want meat chickens, get meat chickens. If you want egg layers, get egg. And the egg layers that we've liked the best were the Isa Browns. I think I like them anyway. And
Buff Orpingtons.
And Buff Orpington. They lay a nice egg, and it's a big chicken. It's a real big chicken. So like your meat chickens or your egg laying chickens, I should say, they couldn't be on the farm with you for, they could be there for 5 years if you wanted to. And then they're going to really slow down and they're not going to lay very much. So you're going to be feeding them a lot, but you're not going to be getting any eggs from them. And they're not particularly a good meat chicken the way you'd think of a meat chicken. Like you're going to have, chicken for dinner. You've got legs and thighs and, breasts and all that stuff. But a worn out laying chicken, what you'd want to do with that is you'd want to can it, or make or make broth out of it. They make the best chicken broth that you can, way better than the meat chickens. And the meat seems to all be, quite dark and definitely mineralized. Wait a minute, I'm not sure I've answered all those questions.
Mm-hmm. And I got a new one for you too.
Another question. Heritage breeds. So I really liked the Freedom Rangers. I really liked them this year. They took longer, but I think it was a better chicken. I think where they took longer, they were more. I mean, that might sound, but if you ever eat veal, for instance, that's a really young calf. There's no taste to them. An animal that's a little older, you have more flavor to it.
And some of that mineralization that comes with age is what makes it more healthy for you as well.
Yeah, definitely more healthy. Definitely. Okay. Next question.
Okay, I have two questions here. But this one is from Steve Trombley. Is it normal for a boar to foam at the mouth?
Yeah, it is. Foam at the mouth, and they do that on purpose because they're trying to turn on the sow. It's a function of mating, is what it is. So, Steve has. We know Steve from one of our classes. Plus, Steve's in the Homesteaders Guild. Steve and Alyssa, they're out in New York State, and he just three sows that have farrowed, and one of them farrowed. I think it was last Sunday or Saturday. So, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's 5 days. Maybe it was Sunday, because generally at 4 days after a pig farrows, they gestate again. They come in. You can actually breed them 4 days after they have babies. So Steve's asking, is it normal that his boar is frothing at the mouth? It is, because he's got a sow with young ones, and it's 4 days after she's farrowed, which means 4 days after she's had her babies, and she's cycling back in, and the boar is sensing that, and he's asking her out. He's trying to get her out to go out on a date. So that is very normal, and there's nothing to worry about there. And generally with the heritage breed, Steve's got Mangalites the same as we do. That's how we met. The boar in with the sow and the young ones is generally not a problem. They seem to get along really well. We don't have problems anyway. All right. Is there another question?
I'll give you Patrick's in a minute. Steve has another one about pigs.
Okay.
Steve wants to know how old to castrate the males.
All right, castration. I'm just, for those of you that don't know what that is, because it could be, when a baby pig is born, the males, of course, have testicles, and pigs are one of those animals that if we don't castrate them, and that pig is going to be used for meat production, you get what they call boar taint, and it's this smell that's in the meat, and we've dealt with it, because we have a butcher shop on the farm, and it sort of smells um, like urine, and it sort of smells like urine being dispersed on hot rocks, like on a campfire. I don't know how that would happen, but that's the smell that you get when you eat a pig that has not been castrated. And there's a lot of discussion about that, especially on the internet. There's a lot of people that have, read something someplace and they throw in what they think. But we run a butcher shop and we've raised pigs for a lot of years right now. And I can tell you, if you know what that boar taint is, you can smell it in pig that hasn't been castrated. You can smell it. So Steve's asking, should he castrate? If you can do it at 2 weeks, that's the time to do it, because the pigs are small, and generally by then you can get them away from their mom, and there's not too much trouble. 2 weeks, but we've done them, later than that. It's just more work because they're harder to catch, and then they're harder to restrain while you do them. If there's more questions about castration, I'll give it to you.
Yep, I do. And I'm still holding on to Patrick's question and now Eddie's question, but Amanda's is related to castration. Are there different methods of castration for the pigs, or just one way?
Okay, I got to be careful with that one because, there could be a way that I don't know about. Are different than, say, calves or camels or goats, where the testicles on them band. It's like an elastic band, sort of like a little donut about this tool that will expand that out, and then you put it over the testicle, and then you let it go, and it clamps down on it really tight. And the calves don't seem to acknowledge it. It's not like they're going, "Oh, that hurts." They don't. So, but also with a calf, you can make a slice in the scrotum, pull that testicle out, and cut it off. I've done that once or twice, but it's so much easier to band them. And you really don't have to restrain them very much to band them, because they'll just stand there and let you do it. But if you're going to cut them, you might get kicked, and calves can really do a lot of damage on you. But you're asking about pigs. On pigs, they don't hang down. They're uptight against, just on either, a little low and either side of the anus, right? Tail, anus, and testicles, just like this. And so you really can't get a band on them. And the way we do it is we just have one guy hold them. And if you hold them like their belly is facing your belly, right? And you swing them between your legs, kind of, and then sit down at the same time, not all your weight, but sit down on a straw bale or hay bale, then it's right in the right position. And then the guy that's going to do the cutting would be sitting in front of you on a 5-gallon bucket, and he would have all the instruments that he needs. And all we use is a single bladed razor blade, like a utility blade, but not a utility knife. I mean, it's the individual flat square blades. And then you take your fingers and you push them down, the testicles down, until they're tight, and then you just make a cut, and it pops. The testicle will pop out of there if you squeeze it on both sides. If you need to know how to do that, I have 2 videos on Baker's Green Acres YouTube. You can find them, and one of them is pretty good.
Steve wants to know if you use antiseptic when you're done.
Yeah. Yeah. What we use and have for a lot of years is hydrogen peroxide, you know, the brown bottles that you get from the store. Cheap. Flip the top open, pop a little hole in that, you know, the cover that they have on there. That, I don't know, it's like a cellophane
Yeah.
silver cover that they put on. Just pop a little hole in that. So then the bottle, you can squeeze the bottle and squirt it. So when somebody's holding the pig in front of me, I'm the one that usually does the cutting here. I'll squirt that on that area, rub it in real good, and then do the cut, and then take that and squirt it right into the incision, and it will bubble up. And then we turn the pig loose, and we have never had a problem, and I mean never, in all the pigs that we've castrated here. Only one time have we had a well, and that was when we had the vet do it, because they went through a whole bunch of procedures. Boar. Yeah, he was a grown boar, and I was thinking that we would anesthetize him because he was a 300 or 400 pound animal, but the vet was like, no, because we don't know how much to use, and plus, and so he just did it, and that guy died, which was too bad.
I have a question from Patrick.
Where are you guys from? Put in the question where you're from, because we want to make this a little bit more. I mean, it's fun.
Okay. His question: can you make more / longer charcuterie videos? Thanks, channel.
Okay, that's a request to make more and longer charcuterie channels. I guess I'll answer that question. I'll just say yes. I can. I can. Will I? What's in it for me? No, I should. I really should. I mean, I tell you something, on a homestead like ours, and if you guys are new, you know, Patrick, I don't think we saw you last week. We have beef cattle, we have milk cows, we have Mangalitsa pigs, I have brood sows, I have feeders, and not many of each. I have 2 milk cows. So we don't have much. We just have a smattering of all this stuff. We do a lot of field crops. I cut hay, you know, so we're always busy. But I'll tell you something, there's always something to make a video of. There's tons of content. Yes, ma'am.
New York City. Thank you. And Eddie, excuse me. I had my pigs on pasture last year. Is it okay to plant my garden in that area?
Oh, for sure.
Question. And Eddie is in New Brunswick, Canada.
New Brunswick too. I know New Brunswick pretty well. It's over there by Newfoundland. I have some Newfie friends. Question. You had pigs in a place, and you want to know if you can put your garden in there this year. Okay, this is what we do. And I have some videos too on this by subject, but we don't, because I never thought that I was going to be referencing my own videos. But what we did, we would put up a temporary fence in an area and then put the pigs in there. And I even did this one time, I even put my phone on that apps deal and recorded it. And I believe that's there too. You can find that. And you'll watch those pigs turn a piece of field that had grass on it and, you know, all kinds of other stuff growing down. And they do it very, very quickly. And when they're doing that, what they're doing is they're adding their manure to that soil, then push it in. Their manure has tons of bacteria in it from their intestinal tract, and that becomes part of your soil in your produce. A good thing. If you check with certain people that like to make laws and policies and things like that, they're going to tell you biosecurity. you could get sick from that. You're not going to get sick from that. Their manure is not something that came from outer space. It's supposed to be here into the soil. The soil knows how to break that down. All those bacterias, amoebas, protozoa, all that stuff works together. You don't have to worry about it. One of the words they like to throw at you when it can manure and growing vegetables is pathogens. Pathogens. They'll kill you. Don't worry about it. Honestly, don't worry about it.
And we've done it a lot of times. And the garden usually has a couple weeks rest time between, or even up to a month when the pigs come off.
Oh yeah.
And that's when the good living soil digests.
Will digest all that.
All that.
And then after you take your pigs off, then you're gonna wanna turn that. There's a couple trains of thought about rototilling, and I used to be of the one camp that said rototilling, never do that. It breaks up all the mycelium and all that stuff. But I'm a big rototiller now. I got a brand new 3-point rototiller, and I love rototilling. I'm a big rototiller now, and I think it does wonders for your soil, because every time that I do it, I'm bringing up the undersoil to the top, and I'm putting nutrient-rich stuff down low. So I'm turning it over, and my crop increase it has increased, and my weed suppression has been pretty good too. So I'm a rototiller, and
the other fun
got
thing
a tattoo
about having the pigs till ours have eaten the quackgrass roots.
Yeah,
and done a
good
number
point.
on a lot of other weeds that we don't want in our garden necessarily, and have helped with weed suppression that way.
I think even way over there in New Brunswick, I think you have quackgrass. I think it's every place. And in the video that I make, I pull one out, and it's got a long, sometimes extremely long root on it. It's broken into, there's like a knuckle, and there'll be, if it's this long, there'll be 30 of those knuckles on it. And when you want to pull that out, you grab it and you pull it, but wherever it breaks off, that's where a new plant starts. So when you put pigs on, they will eat that top. They'll break that first knuckle off, and they'll eat it, and they'll say, "Oh, that was good. I want more." Dig. That's why they're rooting. They're going after that quackgrass root. Now, eventually, you can put pigs on your garden every single year. Eventually, they'll get them all. It's a good way to, without using spray or anything like that, it's a good way to defeat quackgrass, which is, it's a scourge. They've been writing books about it for years, but pigs will do it. Yes, ma'am.
Joe from Maine.
Joe
asked, "What do you consider a brood sow?"
Oh, this isn't Joe Brown then.
It's a Long Shot Revival Homestead.
Okay.
And then I have another one.
What do I consider a sow? I do you one better. I'll tell you what a sow is. Unless you got a boar that wants to identify a sow. But what a sow is, I couldn't help it. What a sow is a female pig that has farrow, gone through the process of having, and when she has successfully done that, then she is a sow. Before she does that, she is a gilt. There's a lot of nomenclature here. I'll throw this out there. A male pig that is intact, which means he has his testicles still, is a boar. And he's a boar even if he's never bred a sow. He's a boar. If he is castrated at a young age, and then he gets to be, older, he's going to be used for meat production. That is a barrow. And then there's one more, a boar. There's gone through his production years, and then he is castrated at several years old, becomes a stag. We don't hear that. That's like fun facts.
He clarified, this is Joe Brown,
Oh.
and he clarified what is the difference between a sow and a brood sow.
Oh, well, a sow is okay. I guess a sow would be. Oh, the difference. Sow. Both of them have had babies, but the brood sow is one that you, as the farmer or the homesteader, says, "I'm keeping her because she's got a good temperament, and she threw a nice litter, and they're all healthy, and she's a good mom." The other one may have farrowed one time, and she's got a bad attitude and not a good mom. She is a sow, but you're not designating her as a brood sow. I think that's what I think, and I get the nod from the boss. So,
another question, Patrick's. Do you ever finish your pigs on acorns or a particular feed that's different from other times of the year? Interested in New York City.
All right, you're in New York City and you're interested in charcuterie. So we have similar interests, and Patrick's touching on acorns and charcuterie. For those that don't know, charcuterie is the art of making dry cured sausages, wet cured sausages, hams, bacons, all of that specialty meat, and it's usually referring to pig meat. All right. I don't know of any, there's prosciutto that's made from pigs. There's prosciutto that's made from ducks. So duck prosciutto, but generally it's pigs. And we raised Mangalitsa. And when Mangalitsa came in the country 10 years ago, we were one of the that got them. It was because charcutered Mangalitsa is arguably one of the best products that there is out there. So, charcuterie. Okay, let's say I'm just thinking how I'm going to approach this. It'd be nice if I had some right here that I could show you, a prosciutto or something that I could show you. There's one hanging down in the butcher shop, but if I get up and go down there and get it, then you'll miss me. But it's down there. You can see them in my videos too. It's a method of curing the meat, and like with a piece of beef, if you salt it and hang it, it's not necessarily going to cure that pig meat will. Pig meat seems like it's designed in tannic acid. If you ever get an acorn sometime and you bite it or cut it open with a knife, and then you take that meat out and you think pop it in the mouth, that ought to be good. You'll spit it right out because it's as bitter as can be. But pigs, their mouth seems to be designed for acorns. If you put them in their pen, they will break it open. They're a golf ball pick